Okay, I'm at 2511 El Camino Drive in Middletown, Ohio, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, anything that would be concerning to the buyer. Our access is a front outside clean out to the right of the front door, and basically in between the garage door and the front door. Looks like there's a PVC top or riser on the clean out. I can show you, there is the front door, there is the garage door, here is the clean out here right next to the crawl space vent. And so it's PVC here, but it looks like it is got cast iron below it, and so it's probably originally cast iron, as you can see as we get down into it, and then the cast iron has a sweep on it, and so we're unable to go both directions or back into the house. This sweep, basically, as you look down on it, it forces the camera to go one direction, which is out towards the main. And so there's no way of inspecting the interior stuff. I will go check and run some water, probably because I'm going to have to clean the lens off the camera also. Tends to happen when you put the camera in, it hits the bottom and then. But we want to see if I can get a little bit better look at this cast iron, because after years of this, may be cast iron all the way out to the main. There we go. So what we're looking for is any kind of noticeable structural issues. We want to make sure that the water's escaping too. I'm going to actually pause the video. I'm going to go ahead and try to get some water running, and that way we can kind of see how it's functioning and make sure the line's flowing well, and then we'll, if we need to, when we pull back, we can shut the water off, but you got to make sure that the camera stays clear so we can see better. Okay, so the house is vacant, and so that could have been why there was a couple things sitting in line. Wasn't anything, not anything major, but didn't even see any toilet paper. But with cast iron, though, I do like to always make sure that people understand that you can see how rough the interior of this line is. And that is very normal for cast iron. It obviously rusts due to the material. And so what you're mainly looking for, like in this case, it seems like it's really held shape well. A lot of times, it's very common to have what you see on the bottom, how it's kind of built up. This is kind of turning down, so, but it's as it's dropping. There we go. And so it's pretty normal to see like the rust and stuff like that build up on it. And all this is looking very normal. You can just see how, like, if there were any holes or anything in the line, you'd be able to see, earth or roots coming through, like that. You see all the black on the top, and that comes from the water. Basically turns it into charcoal. It's the oxidation of the cast iron. And so this looks all really good. Like I said, it is holding shape well, and like I mentioned, you can see on the bottom of the pipe it actually gets pretty flat as the buildup of the minerals and stuff from the water kind of build up on the side, on the bottom, because of how rough the interior is. You have the mixture of rust and minerals out of the water that kind of build up, and so this is all very normal for cast iron. It does have a couple step downs, and I have a feeling we're getting very close to the main here, and that's why it actually has stepped down twice, so it might get a little bit harder to push in this area, just because that line is went over and dropped a couple different times. And so when you're pushing like this, sometimes it takes a minute to get it past. But I believe we are at the main. Could even be in a manhole. That's why it looks so. There we go. It looks like we're going out into some concrete. So I believe we could have just opened up into a, or very near a manhole or the very end of the high end of a main. We'll keep pushing and see how far we go. This actually looks like either a lined sewer or this is old transite maybe, based off the covering. I can't see it being lined unless they went from the other way or I'm out past the manhole. To go see how far out we are. I've got it way out past the property. And based off the age, maybe this is because it does look kind of black. Could be ABS, but it looked white in spots, which the way the ribbing on it and everything looked, it kind of looked like it was either transite, which is an old mixture of pipe of concrete mixed with never remember the name of the material. But it didn't use it a whole lot in sewer lines. As black as it is now, it could just be ABS plastic that was installed in that era. Now, I really think this has to be the main or something because the pipe is just a lot bigger. It's really hard to see because everything is so dark. I'm going to pause the video for a second. I'm going to go check and see where we are. I mean, I'm moving slowly. So maybe this is it. Yeah, this looks like old ABS. So maybe this is it right here where we're turning into the main. Yeah, this is black PVC. Not PVC, it's ABS, but plastic. And I think this is where it's turning to go into the main, but I just can't get the camera to make this very last bend to drop in. But I'm going to go locate this and see exactly where it is. I think it's where it's turning to come into the beginning of the main, basically, or right around the manhole that's in the center of the cul-de-sac. So I'm going to pause the video and verify. Okay, so we are at the main. That's what this last bend is where it drops in right. It's actually right next to the manhole. And so we have made it all the way out. And the line looked really good. I didn't see any kind of major issues or structural issues or root intrusion. I haven't seen anything. So the line looked really good. Obviously, because it is cast iron, and we'll get into that as we get back to it. You never know how long of a lifespan it has based on when it was put in. You know, it obviously will rust. Now in this case the line looks like it's holding shape really well. It's got you know, it has that mineral deposits and stuff on the bottom that is very common with cast iron. Just trying to rinse the camera off a little bit here. But other than that, it looked like the line was open and flowing freely, which is a very good sign. You can tell this is all 6-inch. It looks like ABS, but with the white tint to some of it, it could be a liner. But I don't see, usually with a liner you'll see part number every so many feet stitched on the inside on the top of the line or wherever that liner was. Maybe it's just covered, but I don't know where they would have got into it. There would have been access somewhere. But here we are back into the try to get some water on the front of this thing and get it cleaned off. Part that gets frustrating is I think there's a spider web on the front, and if you've ever had a spider web on your face or anything, you know how hard those things are to get off. But like I said, it's kind of flat at the bottom, but as far as, you know, you can watch the water run and see along the top of the pipe that it is pretty common. A lot of times it's a lot worse than that, whereas it builds up on the sides and it just doesn't keep shape, so it's not open. It's more like it's a lot more jagged and doesn't have as much of that open circle that's, you know, normal for any kind of pipe. It would have spots that would like be growing in from all sides. Basically the rust buildup is so large. Now with the mineral deposit on the bottom, that's very normal, but but if it ever, you know, gets out of hand, which I don't expect anytime soon, there's always the option to have these things descaled, which is basically they send a chain head on the front of a cutter head, basically in front of a sewer machine, and it like scrapes all the stuff out of there and returns it to its regular size, which in this case, but in this case this isn't needed. It all looks like it's holding shape really well, but what the main thing about cast iron is you want to make sure that you're not flushing anything you shouldn't. And this is, a lot of times I say this at the very beginning when I see cast iron, but you don't want to do, you know, any wet wipes, paper towels, feminine products, those kind of things can definitely clog the cast iron line easier, and that's because of, you can see how rough the inside of the pipe is, so it just catches easier. And so I like to tell people to avoid those things. You know, soft clogs, as they're called, you know, excessive toilet paper and wet wipes and stuff like that. Soft clogs happen very, very often. And so with cast iron, it happens a little more often, just because, and when I say very often, when most of the time when there's a backup or something, it's usually caused by somebody flushing something they shouldn't have. It's not like really, really common or anything. But yeah, with cast iron, you just want to be cognizant of that. You know, no wet wipes. If you're going to use them, just keep a trash can in the bathroom and throw them away. Trash can with a lid works fine. Just when you put them down through here, they may go through the toilet, but they catch a lot easier on the line and can cause a backup. And so, but as you can see, we're all the way back out of the line now, and the line looked great. For that age and material, it looked very good. It's open and flowing freely.
Again, as long as you avoid, flushing things that you shouldn't, the line should be healthy for a while to come. And so, again, just make sure you're not flushing weird stuff or things that won't break down. And that's where the wet wipe thing comes in. Really, is those wet wipes just don't break down. Toilet paper is designed to disintegrate, and so if it gets caught at all, if you leave it soaking long enough in the water, it'll disintegrate and break up. Wet wipes don't do that, so that's why I say they tend to. It tends to be a bigger problem where those things don't break down and they'll cause, the line to back up into the tub or something like that. But overall, the line structurally looked great. I didn't see any issues at all. The line's open and flowing and functioning well at time of inspection. So that's going to end the inspection at 2511 El Camino Drive in Middletown, Ohio.